Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our weekly Improving Talks. It's great having you here, and we are very excited to continue this month's series, aptly titled Future Forward with AI. And to get things started, I want to welcome our guest of honor, Scott Paulin. Scott is the Director of Machine Learning and Artificial Intelligence. Along with ML AI systems, he also focuses on data engineering and backend development. Although his strengths are in backend, he can provide full-stack development with his experience in multiple front-end frameworks. Scott has a passion in bringing automation and higher efficiency to both code and business processes. He also has an extensive background in various industries and technologies. I am very thrilled to welcome him today with his talk, Investing in AI, Decoding AI's ROI Riddle. But before we start, I encourage you to use our Q&A feature so you can ask questions, which I will make sure to send his way. In an era where AI expands into nearly every sector, understanding the financial implications and return on investment of AI initiatives is a critical yet complex task for investors and business leaders. And to talk about this and much more, without further ado, I leave you with Scott Paulin. The microphone is yours, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for that warm introduction. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Hopefully, I can give you a wonderful presentation today. I apologize in advance. I am a little under the weather today, so if I cough and or do anything else, I apologize in advance. But without, let's get started. So, investing in AI, decoding AI's ROI riddle. So, one of the biggest things inside of today's markets and industries, the biggest thing is implementing AI. But how do you go about that? What projects do I choose? And then of the projects that I choose, which one should I choose from there? Do I choose the one with the highest ROI? Well, those are all things and problems that we're hoping to solve today. So with today's agenda, we're going to talk about the importance of investing in AI. So if you're just kind of in that introductory stage of should we dip our toes in it? Should we not? How do we go about that? And understand more about the aspects of AI, and is it actually going to be beneficial for us as a business? There are different things around those aspects, as well as to how to implement it as well, that we'll jump into. Next will be challenges in measuring those AI ROI aspects, and so how to go and deal with those different areas and talk about the key metrics of those. And then the strategies to kind of bring into play and implement, and then a couple case studies as well. And then finally, there will be room for some Q&A as well. And then that should be it for today. So the importance of it. Why are we here? Why do we want to invest in AI? So one of the biggest things right now is, if you haven't been living under a rock, one of the big things right now is AI, and how is it going to advance different types of businesses and bring them ahead of their competitors, or just bring operational efficiency, or just drive better innovation. Those are the big things that AI is trying to bring into play. And it just helps with the biggest things for me, for what I've seen, is operational efficiency. You can do all these other aspects of competitive advantage and innovation through AI, but the biggest thing is operational efficiency. And that's where I think most of where you'll see big advancements is in that space. That being said, the other areas are just as great as well. But inside of the AI market, the AI-driven revenue is expected to, throughout the entirety of the industries, increase by 60% over the next compounding annually over the next series of years. So one of the biggest things here is trying to get ahead of that and putting yourself you don't necessarily have to be the bleeding edge of the aspects of AI. Just introducing it in the aspects of small little business gains here and there where you can, and where it makes sense, and where the ROI actually makes sense. And so as you start to get put in place with that, you've set necessarily a foundation as to how your business is going to utilize AI as it continues to the future. Whether you are a Fortune 100 company where you're building platforms and releasing new types of implementations and research and all that such, all the way down to you are a mom and pop shop just trying to really understand more about your business and the customers that you reflect to and how to better serve them. So there's areas of where AI can essentially serve all realms of this. And so we'll kind of go into that and the aspects of how to invest in it. So one of the big things here is off the shelf. It's easy, right? We're buying it, we're plugging it in, it integrates, it helps us. I'm sure if you have been watching the Olympics, it blows my mind how much I'm seeing this, but Salesforce, Einstein is all over that right now. And just being able to connect that with your data inside of Salesforce and using Einstein and all that stuff, it's really cool. And it's for some folks, it works and it's there. There's other tools like SAP Leonardo, which is just kind of a similar aspects in the Salesforce Einstein realm. Is it integrates with your SAP platform, helps you understand different types of aspects of data, and then they also have pieces with inside of the Microsoft and AWS space that I'm sure you also are seeing ads for all over. But C3 AI, that's another really great platform. Dataiku, another awesome platform. They are kind of off-the-shelf market tools of building a platform with inside of your organization. So there's kind of three big major aspects that you kind of want to look at when you're bringing AI into your company. So if you're in that realm of where you have data scientists or you have AI engineers or ML engineers or just software engineers in general, and you are that company that is building the products that you need to serve your customers with, you're going to look at all three of these: off-the-shelf AI services and custom development, even platform development as well. So these the platform development aspect, Dataiku and C3 AI kind of help resolve that aspect. But there's other places where you may not need a platform. You're less about you're more about the objectives of what you're trying to achieve and understand how to bring AI services to your business in general. So one of the big things here is AWS, GCP, and Azure all have these AI services that are just straight connect into it. If you have enough software savviness, you can easily integrate with these in all different aspects and kind of use them as you need to perform a various set of different types of problem-solving solutions. So anything from computer vision to natural language processing to the aspects of recommendation engines. Those are all things within inside of the AI services area. And then finally, there's this custom development. This is very rare that typically individuals use this. This was kind of more utilized in the very beginning of where ML, machine learning, was kind of taken in play and people were building tools and all that stuff. Now, more people are leaning towards the AI services, leaning on different types of big players like AWS, GCP, and Azure to build those models, and then they utilize a service that utilizes those models. So custom development, it's typically not really utilized by a lot of folks, but there are times where this comes into play. And if the AI service that does not exist or is not readily available from an off-the-shelf product, it kind of leans towards that custom development. That being said, there is an ROI and scoping like exercise that we can walk through and talk about. Do we do custom development? Think of custom development as your very last dish effort. And so I would just kind of stress not to go down that path unless you really, really need to. And you know for a fact that the ROI that's going to come out of that project is going to be significant and to the point of where it's worth the level of effort that it takes with building something that's custom. So that being said, I'm going to jump to the next thing here is navigating off-the-shelf AI. So there's a lot of red flags here. And as it stands today, I'm sure you are seeing either on the internet, LinkedIn, commercials, all these different things about, oh, AI can do this, AI can do that. The biggest things here is watch out for those red flags. So there's kind of like seven, eight big red flags that I typically like to talk about is like overhyped capabilities. Be wary of like AI products that promise revolutionary aspects and extremely fast results without clear evidence, like case studies to back them up. If it sounds too good to be true, it most likely is. And that won't always be the case. That can continue down the path of where we will eventually get to a point where they will actually deliver the things that they promise. but we are still a significant amount of time away from that. And unfortunately, that is not the story today. So you always have to be careful of the overhyped capabilities of any sort of tooling that comes into play. There's things like data security concerns. This is a big one that I would say that stands out for most of our clients and any other individual that has a business. Data concerns is like, if you leak data to any sort of individual or system, are they going to leak your information to somewhere else on accident? So a lot of different things that kind of come into play there. Make sure that when they promise you a product that they have robust data security measures to protect your information. Or if there is any lack of emphasis on that aspect of security, that's kind of that red flag to kind of keep in mind. And then all the rest of them are kind of just aspects of we could always go into later, but these are the big 7, I would say, as you can see here. So, and then this kind of brings us into the aspect of choosing the projects that we want to understand. So we have effectively created a framework that kind of walks any of our clients or individuals to kind of go through and say, how do I choose a project? And then how do I make sure that it's most likely going to be effective and all that? So there's this kind of 9-step roadmap that we have here, from defining your strategic objectives to all the way to your iterating and scaling this framework out to not just the top level performers, but everybody down below. So it's kind of very similar to that mentality of rinse and repeat, and get the most effective aspects from this framework that help you get positive wins with your AI implementations. Won't go too deep into this, just simply for the sake of aspects of time. But if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me. We have a whole education course on this aspect. But to jump into it, what we are going to go into is this aspect of the ROI analysis. And so this is a subcomponent within inside of that AI assessment framework. Typically occurs midway through, just shortly after defining metrics and understanding about your business, what you're trying to do to get ahead of the other aspects of your business, or figure out different ways to enhance your business. So after that's already been assessed, we go through this ROI analysis to understand, okay, which of those projects have we identified are going to be the best ROI aspects, and then on top of that, which one is the most likely going to be feasible. And then we do sensitivity analysis and a bunch of other stuff to kind of give you the idea of saying, okay, this is probably going to be the best project going forward. So it's very similar to the aspects if you're in software engineering or building of projects, just like project management at any sort of business. You're kind of used to this kind of framework in itself, but it's very specific to AI because of AI projects and their intricacies, simply due to the fact that more AI projects are likely to fail if you don't have a repeatable, successful framework that's put in place in front of it. And so that's what this is supposed to help you with, is kind of have that rinse and repeat framework that helps you be successful. And as long as it's properly implemented, you should see successful projects come out of it every single time. That being said, so defining those objectives and metrics, estimating your costs, assess your benefits, quantify risks and uncertainties, then do that calculation of that net present value aspects. This is a lot of financial stuff that is not typically known by a lot of people, but it's stuff that you can go and effectively do. Determine that payback period. How long is it going to take me to recoup my money after I've invested into this AI project? Understanding that. Do some sensitivity analysis aspects, understanding the best case scenario, worst case scenario, in between scenarios. I'll kind of show an example of that here in a couple slides, but those are all things that need to be in consideration when going through this aspects of assessing the ROI of any sort of AI project itself. So one of the big things here, though, is assessment of those benefits and quantifying risk and uncertainties. This is probably the hardest part. And this is kind of one of those things where we sit down and really talk about the aspects of what this means. Is this an actually benefit? Is this actually a risk? Is this an actual uncertainty? Because this is not something that's kind of learned overnight. This is something that we have learned over a series of projects that we worked with lots of different individuals to understand the benefits and risks and uncertainties of AI projects themselves. Now, I can't necessarily tell you what the silver bullet is, because unfortunately it is dependent on your industry and your business. I'll probably have an example in our case study that talks about this. But one of the big things here is just really understanding your key metrics for our AI and ROI and all that stuff. Once you have that, you can necessarily go in and effectively understand more about those benefits and how that impacts you from a cost standpoint and a non-cost standpoint, because there are benefits that are not necessarily geared towards cost. So like you can have better employee retainment and all that stuff. So like there's different types of benefits that come from certain AI projects. And so it's just really good to think about all those different things before going down this avenue of understanding about risks and uncertainties, and then also doing the rest of the calculations and all that stuff. So some challenges in here, and I kind of mentioned this already with aspects of the benefits and the uncertainties, is intangibility. It's kind of difficult to really quantify the benefits of like improved customer experience. How do you measure that with a number? It's I mean, you could make them take a survey, but are they truthful in that survey? And then you're getting statistics and understanding as to whether or not how much do I take or leave out on whether or not this was actually viable of a project that was actually supposed to be there. One of the big things around AI projects is that you're looking at long-term investments. There are some times where AI projects come into play that the return on investment is not instantaneous. And so that's one of the biggest things you kind of have to take in consideration. And that's also part of that analysis, is saying, okay, what's my payback period? If I implement a low effort project, my payback period is pretty quick if the ROI is relatively high, those quick wins type situations. But if I have kind of a lower ROI, but the payback period and there's a longer kind of level of effort or medium level of effort, you're going to see a longer period of time before you actually see money back from your investment. So there's just different things you have to consider when doing this and dealing with AI ROI and measuring that. So it's just understand that it's never instantaneous. It's not like this aspect of I have goods and I sell them, I see the instant effect of some sort of selling something. I see the revenue from it. So AI has this kind of bad notion around it where people think that, oh, AI is going to solve all our problems and it's going to be instantaneous. Unfortunately, there are cases where it's not instantaneous, and there's a level of patience that has to be understood and known to make sure that your AI project is actually going to bring you more revenue at the end of the day, but may take a longer time to do. One of the other big things is data quality. So when we go into projects, a lot of times, especially from a standpoint where the company has never implemented any sort of AI project, ML or data analytics aspects, they struggle because they don't have any information on what they're trying to track. And so that becomes, or if they do, it's not very good or has not been refined or cleaned, and they haven't gone through certain data practices that we typically recommend. And so if they haven't gone to that part and your data quality is poor, it's very difficult for you to measure how well did my AI performance actually be. And so it can typically skew either good or bad, where it can either make the AI look really good when in reality it may be mid or not so good, or the flip side where the AI looks terrible, but in reality it's doing really well. And so there's this aspect of dealing with your data quality and making sure that that is up to key. And those are different things that we can easily walk through and talk about, hey, how do I properly do this? And the biggest first step is collecting metrics now. So if you're not currently collecting metrics on stuff that you want to change and understand, start doing it, because that's the best way to give yourself a baseline to understand. Before I implemented my AI project, I know I was getting this. And now I've implemented my AI project, I'm getting this. So if you're not collecting data, quality data, start doing it now. So those are one of the big things that is a big struggle when implementing an AI project. If you're not doing it, you're going to struggle. Lastly, and this is a hard one to solve, is skill gaps. As it stands today, I think that there is such a large area of growth with inside of AI engineers, ML engineers, data scientists, and what does that look like to software engineers who did not go down this path? So my background, I came from a software engineering aspect. I did that for 10 years. And then I transitioned into machine learning and artificial intelligence through the aspects of one of my jobs. And I learned all about machine learning, and I've been doing this for like 10 years now, 10 plus years, something like that. And so one of the big things is understanding these various pieces and the mathematics behind it sometimes. That being said, there are certain things like AI implementation typically doesn't require major scale increase. It's just understanding how does those AI services work. And typically traditional software engineers can easily go through and do that. The groups like AWS, GCP, and Azure have all written really great documentation on some of those AI services to help you understand how do I integrate this into my overall architecture and then utilize those. Going forward, there are the skill gaps of building an AI and ML platform. That is something that is pretty rare, unfortunately, but it doesn't take much because it's very similar to like a developer platform. If you're not familiar with that, it's just a platform that allows for developer enhancement where the individuals can write the code, deploy it, and not have to worry around allowing the CI/CD and all the other aspects of managing a production level application. And so a lot of that stuff is kind of missing when it comes to implementing in the ML and AI side. And so there are some skill gaps that are there. And so this is something that you're going to run into, especially if you're like, I need to hire AI engineers, ML engineers, or data scientists. You're going to struggle to find individuals that are, I guess, in surplus, and then also that are affordable. They are just high cost jobs at this standpoint, and I think with how the market is turning, this may change. But as it stands today, it's a well desired skill set, and so people are willing to pay good money for it. And so you just have to make sure that you set your either you do a lot of skill up with inside of your organization, and that's been kind of the most, I would say, lucrative plan for some of our clients that we've seen versus going out and finding a PhD, which you don't necessarily need, or finding somebody who's been in this industry for 15 years and then paying a really high price tag for them. So you may not need to necessarily go down that path. Depending on your business, most likely all you need to do is skill up your current employees and say, hey, this is kind of like what we're looking to integrate. Can you help us out and build this all? So that would probably be my first approach as implementing this. And then, so key metrics. So these are just examples. So they kind of help understand the aspects of what we're supposed to target. So are we going to see revenue growth or cost savings or the ROI aspect, or the process efficiency, error reduction, time savings, customer satisfaction, all that stuff. Are we going to see this stuff when we implement ROI? And so these are things that you should be tracking. If this is like, for example, you want a customer retention. If this is a metric that you're not currently like tracking, and this is something that you want to utilize AI on, you should start collecting it and make sure that it's quality. So that's another big thing. So like seeing goes for time savings, error reduction, process efficiency. So those are all the, like, if there's a specific process efficiency, understand how long does it take to complete a certain task, that process specifically. And then introduce AI. And does that efficiency shorten? Then it looks like your AI aspects are actually beneficial. Without that data, you won't be able to understand that. So into the financial aspects, the ROI piece is kind of, it plays into it a little bit as well, to like revenue growth, savings, and cost savings aspects. So calculations, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but this is in case you're curious, what was the net present value calculation? What is the payback period calculation stuff? These are the basic calculations for that. Net present value calculations are a little bit complicated if you're not used to them, but essentially just allows you to understand what is the present value of the cost for implementing it and how does that affect my payback period when it comes into play. So, and then secondly, going into this aspect of sensitivity analysis, understand your best case scenario. It's a lower cost, a lower level of effort, understand how long is there going to be a payback period on it, less than a year, because the revenue on it is significantly higher, and all that. And then understand your worst case scenario where you have increased costs or a decreased benefit situation. So, and then like combined stress tests where it's both of those things, increased costs and decreased benefit. What does it look like from the sense of understanding, okay, if we were to implement this, what is the absolute worst case scenario for a payback period and how much is it going to cost us? Or like, what is our net present value as we perceive it based off of the revenue that's generated from the project itself? And then kind of understand what's your baseline scenario. What is the most likely going to happen based off of information that you have from previous understandings about forecasting. So next are strategies to maximize AI ROI. So these are the big like 6 things that I always typically recommend looking into is strategic alignment, making sure that whatever you're going to bring into play is actually going to align with your business strategies and what you're trying to do as a business from business objectives, and make sure that goes forward with that. And then understand, like, can we look into a pilot program to effectively implement some of those strategic alignment aspects? And after you understand those pilot programs, look into scalability and continuous improvement. How do we make this better? How does this go into the future with us? And then lastly, that talent management is kind of one of those big things. And then second to last, or I guess you could say, is talent management and invest in training and development for AI. So making sure that your individuals that are working for you can sustainably manage it and develop it and grow it as it goes into the future. Not necessarily always having to look into acquiring new people to bring in to deal with that, but training and developing your current AI or like your software engineering or any talent that needs to understand the aspects of AI. And then remember, quick wins, high to low ROI with low level effort are always a good scenario. Obviously, that's difficult to quantify. Depending on your industry, it could mean a whole bunch of different things. But the biggest thing is making sure that you find the lowest level of unit of work, implement an AI solution on it, and see that you're getting ROI out of it, and then iterate off of it, and then continue to grow it and get better and better and better. And then, so a case study real quick. So I'm just going to call them company A for the sake of saving face, because this is a problem that's not only this specific company faced, but multiple companies face this problem. It's what I guess we like to call the R&D trap, in the sense of that companies will go in and effectively invest hundreds of millions, if not just regular millions, millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars into solving a problem, utilizing AI and doing it all custom. And more likely than not, they cannot bring it to production within a timely manner that their investors are expecting them to do. And so, for example, in this situation, company A invested in an AI solution that costed them millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and they were looking to bring the solution to production. So they contacted us, hey, can you bring this to production for us? We evaluated it and we found that the solution was not in a place where it could be sustainably brought to production and actually show significant ROI for them. So our resolution was to propose to an alternative solution where we did that analysis with them, understand the basis of their problem, figure out the smallest iteration of work that we could find, and implement a quick win. So they got ROI out of it. And then we iterated and iterated and iterated until the solution came to the final product where they were meeting their investors' requirements. And so it's just this story, rinse and repeat all over again, depending on the company. This is not a single problem that only this company faced. This is a common problem that we see throughout. So lessons learned from that for this company and just in general was targeting the highest ROI for your like series of projects may not be the most feasible route, both from an internal talent to technology restrictions. There may be restrictions as to whether or not this problem can be solved based off of the current implementations that are out there. And then AI and ML R&D projects that are expected to go to production in a reasonable amount of time are typically destined to fail. This is just simply due to the fact that AI and ML R&D is hard. It requires PhD people to solve some of these problems. The high level statistics, it requires just a lot of really good knowledge and time and money. Money goes towards implementing certain types of solutions in the cloud because most people cannot afford the hardware technology that is required for some of these R&D projects. So they got to go to the cloud, and that gets really expensive. For example, if you wanted to train your own large language model today and get it to be up to the shape of like ChatGPT or Llama 3, we're talking not tens of thousands, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. It is so expensive to do a lot of this stuff. And it takes so much time and effort and talent to get that stuff. So it is just as an education point, R&D project, AI and ML R&D projects are hard, and they will take time. And without proper educating of investors to help them understand, say, hey, this is going to take X amount of time. You are destined to fail without setting those proper expectations. That being said, identifying realistic level of effort and then going with the highest ROI out of that realistic level of effort of projects is typically more feasible. So once you get it down to that final scope of smallest iteration of work that can be performed and iterate off it, that is going to be your best case scenario because now you have ROI. There's money that you can show that's saying, hey, we have an improvement. Is it going to be 100% ROI off of what your current process is? Typically not. No, not even close. Typically, you're looking at anywhere from 10, 20, 30, 40%. And then you iterate to get to that 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. It just takes time. It never just happens to be, I implement a full scale project and go out with it. So it really reinforces that idea, the aspect of like agile methodology, where we iterate, we create the first level of unit of work and we iterate to make it better and better and better to show greater ROI advancements. So in conclusion here, so remember, investing in AI will be crucial for your business to succeed in the future. Choose the right solution for you, whether that be off the shelf, AI services, or custom solution. And I guarantee you custom solution is probably not going to be the best. So just understand that. Be sure to implement a repeatable framework. It's something that just gets you to the point where you can track your metrics, understand the construction of your project, architect it out. It seems very waterfall, but it goes in it moves very smoothly with an agile methodology aspects of as you iterate here, you do this, you do that, you do this, and you rinse and repeat type situation. So as you've established that framework, you're going to get better results out of your AI projects. And then reinforce that framework with proper AI selection strategies. Some of the stuff that I was talking about where understanding if it's matching your business objectives, understanding if it's a quick win type aspect. So just really keeping those in mind to reinforce whether or not this project is going to be successful. And then finally, don't always choose the problem with the highest ROI. Make sure you consider feasibility, because if you don't, you're going to struggle and it's going to be painful, and you're just going to want to never do an AI project ever again. And so to avoid that situation, understand the feasibility of the problem that you're going through and consider kind of a middle of the road ROI. It's okay to achieve that. That way you're showing advancement, and then you can iterate on that problem, show the maximum growth of ROI out of that problem. That being said, I really encourage everyone to start and continue AI investment, especially in their journey of the AI world. If you have any questions, please ask me. Reach out to me, email, LinkedIn, you name it. Lastly, I want to touch on this upcoming talk. So next Wednesday, I believe it is. Yes. Yes. Next Wednesday, we have Ken Jordan talking about our kind of hackathon Odyssey aspects from zero to RAG, talking about some RAG implementations in our hackathon that we went through. So highly recommend that. Also, Eric Robb, the following week, is going to be talking about computer vision platform, enhancing and developing with the platform that we built for one of our clients. And then lastly, with Michael L., is building reasoning applications with generative AI and agents. This one's a really cool talk, and I highly recommend you checking it out as well. So that is it. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any, or if we have time for it.
Yeah, we have time, Scott. What a great presentation. Thank you very much. And I encourage the audience to send the questions right now, but I want to get things started with this. Scott, how did you start your journey in machine learning and AI? Can you please share that with us?
Yeah, definitely. So I got started many years back, just doing simple linear regressions. A lot of people consider that machine learning. I don't really, because it's just basic math at the end of the day. And then it gets into calculus and linear algebra a little bit at the end of the day. But linear regressions, if you're not familiar with them, all they do is you plug in data and it shoots out a number saying within certain bounds of whether or not it's being predicted correctly or whatever you're trying to predict. It's kind of this various, and that was way back when at the railroad. So and just doing that is kind of where I got started. And so after I learned about this realm of linear regressions, it kind of introduced me to the realm of machine learning. As I got more into machine learning, I got into deep learning, I got into AI, and started building stuff. And so I've been helping clients ever since then, just to do all kinds of different things. So it's been quite the adventure, but highly recommend it. You don't necessarily need to go down my path of where you learn machine learning, deep learning, and then AI aspects. You can start from the top down. You can understand the aspects of AI. Where does it come into play with business? How do I grow this? And then if you're curious, dive into the aspects of deep learning, dive into the aspects of machine learning, and how does this all play in effect? And then learn about the skills that are necessary to become a data scientist and do all that stuff. So I highly recommend it. So
What a great journey. That was interesting, Scott. Thank you for sharing that with us. And speaking of our clients, in your own opinion, what are the biggest challenges that you consider improving clients are currently facing with regards to AI initiatives and project selection?
Yeah, definitely. So it's a really great question. It's one of the big things is I would say is this aspect of education. Even though AI has been in the news and it's been in the media and all that stuff for a couple of years now, and people have seen machine learning grow, and it's just been such a thing for the past couple of years. There's just still this notion of not understanding the aspects of what AI can do today. And there's a lot of marketing fluff out there that makes AI look like it's this auto magical black box that can do literally anything. Unfortunately, that is not the case. It takes a lot of effort to do the things that you see. And even the stuff that you see from a marketing standpoint is maybe not necessarily be real, and maybe just for a marketing play. We've seen this time and time again with a bunch of different new AI products that have come out that they just kind of pull the wool over your eyes to get investment. And then they kind of iterate and they find out, well, this is actually not a product. It's not really good. So one of the biggest things I would say that is a challenge is navigating this AI space to understand as to what's real, what's not real, and then understanding the education of what can I do with this. So after you've gotten to that point, I think that it comes down to your business and how you're collecting data. This is I hate to turn this into a data engineering thing, or data platform aspects, but data is the only thing that powers machine learning and AI. There's nothing else. There's no reason or logic other than data itself. So if you have no data, or your data is not that great, I recommend making your data more achievable for what you want it to do, both from just understanding analytics. If you have a good understanding of the analytics around what problems you're trying to solve, that's good, because then that sounds like you're ready to make that next jump to the machine learning world, the AI world. But if you don't have a good understanding of analytics of the stuff that you're trying to solve, you're kind of setting up yourself for failure. That being said, doesn't necessarily I need to set my data platform, data analytics, AI problem. Not necessarily. There's a lot of different things that you can do where you can invest in bringing in some of our people from a data scientist perspective, helping understand the problem and achieve, okay, what is the problem that we're trying to solve? Here's the analytics based off the data we have. Bring in our data engineers, refine that data to get it to where it needs to be, then bring in the ML engineers to bring in and solve that problem. And that can all be done with inside of a single project in I don't want to say a couple, in a span of months that it takes. So it just really depends on the problem. I don't want to scare people away, like span of months, how long is that? It can be a couple months all the way up to 6 months, 12 months. It just really depends on the problem that you're trying to solve, how complicated it is, and how your data looks at the end of the day. So a lot of different challenges, I would say, but those are probably the big two, I would say, is the education aspects, navigating the world of AI, and then your data. Make sure that your data is really, really good. So
thank you for sharing those great insights, Scott. And we don't have any more questions. So that's all for today. I want to thank you all for joining us, and especially you, Scott, for sharing this great presentation with us. And coming up next week, as he mentioned, we will continue this series with my friend Kevin Jourdain and his webinar From Zero to Reg, our Hackathon Odyssey. Be sure not to miss this month's insightful sessions on the latest trends and innovations in AI. Stay ahead of the curve and come along with us on this exciting journey towards the future with AI. Until next time, everyone, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Scott.